although I've never met him in person, I feel like that we're deeply connected already as friends in the digital space on Twitter and Facebook and all that good stuff. It's Noel Gordon from the Human Rights Campaign you're in DC, right?
Yeah, right here in our nation's capital.
Good. So, Noel, you had sent me a tweet, and it basically just said that you asked me to kind of help, I don't know, retweet or whatever, give some space to something that you guys are working on at the HRC with a very cool organization. So I just want you to tell me first, before we even get started with that, why does HRC have an interest in HIV and AIDS?
Yeah, definitely. So HRC has long been engaged in the fight to end the HIV epidemic. Sort of from particularly the federal and legislative advocacy side, we've been right there with our coalition partners, sort of organizations serving people living with HIV to fight off anti-HIV legislation that comes through Congress and to really ensure that people living with HIV get the funding that they need for whether that be the Ryan White Care Program or the AIDS Drug Assistance Program. We really wanted to make sure that on the federal and legislative side, we were doing everything we could to make sure Congress provides the most robust response possible to the HIV epidemic. And a few years ago, with the creation of our Health and Aging Program, really the stars aligned where we could expand the work we were doing on the public education and outreach space. Particularly, as you know, the world of HIV prevention looks radically different than it did just a few years ago. And so HRC was really inspired by all the changes that's been occurring in that space and really felt that we could do even more than we already were doing to let LGBT people know about all the exciting possibilities that are sort of exist for HIV negative people and HIV positive people.
Yeah, definitely. And so I know that you guys have an interest in not only those living with HIV, but you for a long time have been involved in prevention efforts. And this particular year, you did some really cool things with the different prides going on. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing in that space.
Yeah, so one of the things that we recognize is that 30 or so years ago, the LGBT movement sort of was forced to organize around the HIV epidemic. Gay and bisexual men were dying by the hundreds, and lesbian women were really playing an active role in supporting other members of the community, and trans women now we know are being affected and sort of were being affected. And so just as 30 years ago the LGBT community mobilized in response to the epidemic, we at HRC felt as though this would be a perfect time to mobilize again to fight off rising rates of infection among gay and bisexual men and transgender women. And so we figured what better way to reach people than where they're at. And we know LGBT people are at Pride. And so we utilized our resources to partner with the Greater Than AIDS campaign to embark on this really cool project where we brought HIV-tailored information, resources, and giveaways to about 18 LGBT Pride festivals across the country and some of the hardest hit communities, Harlem, Nashville, Knoxville, places close to your own neighborhood. And so what we wanted to do was educate people and really encourage positive norms around talking about your status, knowing your status, and sort of asking your friends to talk about their status with you. And so it's been a wildly successful and popular initiative and that we've gotten great feedback about.
Yeah, and I'm one of those people that are very proud and excited about what you're doing in that. And you also just put out a big PrEP guide.
Yeah, definitely. So one of the major resources that sort of anchored the partnership was a resource guide that was tailored specifically to the needs of LGBT people. And one of the issues or one of the prevention strategies that we covered in the guide was around PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis. We know lots of people have questions about PrEP. We've seen more and more articles and dialogues occurring around it. And so HRC really tried to position ourselves in partnership with Greater Than AIDS to give people relevant, accurate, and timely information. So that way they could speak to a knowledgeable healthcare provider about whether or not PrEP might be right for them.
there's a lot of debate still on, for PrEP or against PrEP or that sort of thing in the HIV space, prevention area. But one thing that we all agree on is that people should be able to make an informed decision and have that conversation with their physician and those that are important to them in the decision-making process, and then not have any judgment. And so your resource guide that you've put out with Greater Than AIDS is fantastic.
Thank you.
Something that I highly applaud you guys. You also made a video recently that is on YouTube that I'm going to share as well with my audience. Tell me about that and what went into that and why, all that good stuff.
Yeah, we really wanted to bring this partnership to life because we know we weren't going to be able to reach every city and every Pride festival. So we wanted to animate sort of what this partnership looks like on the day-to-day. What does it look like on the ground? And so with our friends over at Greater Than AIDS, we went up to Harlem, New York, and attended Harlem Pride and filmed what people's experiences were like, receiving the information, talking about HIV, knowing their status, their anxieties around knowing their status, so on and so forth. And the video we released this week is really making the rounds on social media, and I think it sort of taps into a conversation that you and others have sort of been participating in for a long time now, which is what are the current realities of living with HIV? What are the current realities of those who are infected and affected by HIV? And so let's have that conversation. Let's bring it out of the closet, so the saying goes. And so the video has been a really great way for people to visualize what it is we're actually doing, and I think they've responded really positively.
Do you have anything that, I know that there's a press secretary hanging out with us, like all amazing organizations, but do you have anything that you any news coming up that you want to share with me first?
Well, I'll just say stay tuned to the HRC website, hrc.org/HIV, to learn about what HRC is doing. And particularly, check out what we do in the fall or on National Gay Men's HIV/AIDS Awareness Day. And I'll leave it at that.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Noel. Again, I'm Josh Robbins from I'mStillJosh.com. Thank you to Noel Gordon with the Human Rights Campaign. You can find out all the amazing things about the organization and what they're doing specifically in the HIV and AIDS arena nationally in the U.S. By going to hrc.org and finding the blog. And there's a whole section that they've got blogs about the HIV and AIDS, but also there's an entire health section and HIV/AIDS section that is literally huge compared to what it was now. I think you guys are competing with my website now. I don't like that. I'm just kidding. It's all good.
It's on there.
Thank you. There you go. Thank you so much, and great job.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.